right. Hey, welcome. It is October 7th, Thursday, little after 1. Welcome again to another episode of Lunch Talk. So while you guys get yourself settled in, we've been having some discussions, and we're going to kind of go through a series of this. Some stuff that we've been working on. We've kind of gone into production on it as well. And the topic is burnout and FOMO. So if you don't know what FOMO means, okay, and it took me, it's like, I'm not hip. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not a hip guy with the hashtags. I count on my, Donnie, you're a millennial? What's your gen?
Gen Z.
Gen Z?
Gen Z, yeah.
Okay, see, I don't even know that crap. Okay, but I count on them to let me know. So it's fear of missing out. And here's why I bring this up. As an employer or a manager, listen, as a husband or wife, one of the things that we understand is this is supposed to be a time for us in our lives, in our business, to get refreshed, to get refocused, because we're entering into, if you have a normal fiscal year, or even just in general in life, the season is time for us to start to rejuvenate. Okay. But what happens is this becomes the most stressful time of the year for most people. They start to look at the goals they didn't accomplish, and instead of looking at what they've done, they start holding on what they haven't done. Financials, they start issuing, they start become issues in their lives. Families, listen, the statistics around this time of the year are the worst. Divorce rates. Most employers, at least in our industry, if you have guys that are traveling, you're seeing a 20-25% loss. This is where everybody, if they're working, they go home, they start to question everything. They don't want to do it anymore. They change careers. There's so many things that happen here, and we've got October and fall, and then Thanksgiving, holidays, and then we have the holidays as we come into December, Christmas and Hanukkah, and different areas depending on where you're from, who you are, how you celebrate. But the point is that at the end of the year, when we're supposed to be looking at what we did, how can we do better, we start to look at what we failed to do, and it starts to get to us. So I'm going to go through some stuff today, but before that, thank you for being here. Listen, if this is the first time joining us on Lunch Talk, thank you. And do us a favor, drop a hashtag live in the comments. Let us know that you're watching. And we'd love to be able to hear from you and share more topics that matter to you. Now, we have two great special guests, so I want to get them introduced and bring them on the show. You have seen this gentleman before. He's a frequent flyer with the show, and we're happy to have him back. Paul Carter, and another gentleman I've known for quite a few years who also has a great reputation in the industry as well, John McKay. So let's go ahead and bring them on to the show. Little applause, Donnie. Little applause.
Afternoon.
There it is. There it is.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, welcome to Lunch Talk. Did you catch the intro?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
What do you guys think? Am I off, or are we on to something here?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
You're getting it going, that's for sure.
Well, it's one of the things I've found, and we're actually gonna talk on this. It's one of the rules that we have on a series. So we have 11 rules to succeed as a leader. And this is coming from a number of different mentors and books and just lessons learned. And we broke it down to 11 because we feel that these are probably the most critical. One of those rules is in the level of mentoring others and teaching others and getting involved in conversations like this to stay motivated. And so I am no different than anybody else, right? I'm looking at our company and saying, okay, are we going to hit the goals and the numbers we wanted to? Are we reaching what we thought we could? And I have to keep myself focused in a place to remind myself what I have completed, what I have accomplished, how far I have gone. versus what I didn't get to. Otherwise, that starts to weigh on me. And what happens, right? That level of discontent starts to actually affect our ability to be successful going forward. And so it's interesting. One of the greatest things I have found is when I'm in my worst place is I get on and help somebody else. I get on the phone and I try to help and mentor somebody else. I listen to somebody else's story on what they're doing or struggling or what they've gone through to be inspired, right? Do you guys agree? How do you, Paul, how do you combat that when you start to hit that level of depression as a business owner, as a father, husband, as a human being? How do you combat it?
I think realistically, I probably go at it by literally chatting to a pal, ring up one of your mates, you start texting them, you end up having a phone call, and the initial subject ends up probably going away, and you end up feeling better about yourself because you're finding out what other people are up to anyway. So it's literally, the conversation that you might think would be 5 minutes, 40 minutes down the line, you're still on the phone chatting to somebody, having the crack and having a good laugh, and you come off the phone call feeling great.
It's incredible what a simple conversation can do to refocus, right? John?
Yeah. I mean, and to that, to Paul's point and yours, Rigo, I mean, really you have these conversations, when you're in your low spot or whatever it is, and you call somebody up, the main takeaway is that, one, you're not alone, right? You're not the only one who feels that way.
That's right. That's right.
And that it's almost, it's enlightening almost. But you find out that the more that you have conversations with other people, the more you talk to other people, you realize, hey, they're going through the same thing. And where they may be at in life or in business or whatever it is, you may have already passed through that passage and gained that experience and can, help them get to the next level. And where they're at, they might be, they might have the same answer for you. And so it's very helpful to have that conversation with people and to keep that network open and that line of communication going. And oftentimes as men, if you are married, it's hard to have that same openness and that same communication with your spouse about your family stuff going on. So sometimes if it is a professional issue that you're dealing with, you don't necessarily feel, you don't feel comfortable maybe, or you don't feel obligated necessarily to drag that person into your professional life, because a lot of us do have a separation of professional and personal, right? So there's a lot of times where you go through things professionally that you don't necessarily open up in your personal life, which obviously causes more issue than if you would have just talked about those things, right? But I think it's important that you have that communication, and eventually you start to build that, just like we do in business. You build that network out, and you have that you have that network of people that you discuss things with. You start to open that line of communication with your own family, and it starts to smooth out those high points and low points, right? It fills in all those gaps.
No, you know what? You nailed something there, John, because you're not alone, right? And a lot of times you think you are. It's probably one of the greatest mistakes that we make. I think one of the powerful things I've always appreciated and learned and enjoyed when working with women in the workforce is women have no problems asking for help. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I mean, there are some, personalities are personalities, right? What was that?
Right. I said lucky.
Yeah. Listen, hey, man, lucky was actually on there as one of the rules. I'm happy to be lucky. Listen, I am more than happy to be lucky than right. And right. It's funny. Who was it that said this? I just saw that, but it's funny that the harder and harder you work on something, the luckier you get. Right. Yeah. And I got to find who said that quote, but it's interesting. The more you dig in, the harder you work in an area, it seems like the luckier you seem to keep getting. It's not that you're getting lucky. It's the way it's like the Murphy's Law, right? It's the rule of the land. And it's interesting because the more you prepare, what I tell you earlier, John, we were having a conversation earlier on this. This is actually part of one of the rules. I'm going to go ahead and grab this up because I talk about some of this stuff, but to do it all at once, it's a little hard, right? But John Wooden, he's a well-known coach for UCLA. He was a basketball coach there, but he's got a lot of great sayings, and he was a big mentor from 1948 to 1975. But he said once, when opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. And we were talking about this earlier because the idea that when we're out there seeking guidance and help, recognizing that we're not alone, what we're actually doing is we're taking in knowledge and information. Maybe not everything is on the forefront, right? But it's being cataloged in the back, and our minds are recognizing. I mean, this is why it's so important to read, right?
Right.
Read.
Right.
That's rule number 2 for me is study others and mentor and find mentorship, but read. That's my number one way. Now I'm more of an audible guy, but my number one way of getting information is listening to the stories of others, sometimes more than once, over and over again, and just trying to keep this information in. And if I get 1 or 2 small little nuggets out of it, these little nuggets are going to change my they're going to change my luck.
Right.
Right.
You can spend. I know people that spend hours and hours and hours listening to podcasts, and they'll turn around and take maybe out of an hour's podcast, like you say, take 2 or 3 snippets, and it changes your attitude towards a certain subject. It changes your actions towards a certain problem. It changes maybe your views on another particular subject. But I think podcasts now are like you say, it's Audible, but they're the new books, aren't they?
They are. Well, you know what? And it's funny because everybody has a different style of learning. If I want to get to bed, I read. Like there are times where I'm really into it. Now, here's what's interesting. A little bit about me. If you give me,
I thought John was going to say you need a ladder there.
Oh yeah, jokes.
You're gonna need more than a book.
Yeah, John's got jokes. It's funny because if it's a technical doc, I enjoy things if it for some reason the way that my mind works, if it's technical or if it's data research type, like I can do that for hours and read, and I love that. Okay, so I'm the guy that loves documentaries. There was this new one, like the space, this thing all about the space program on Disney Plus. And man, I was all excited. My wife goes, "That looks boring." And she goes, "Listen, I love space. Astronauts are cool." But I'm like, how can this be boring? We've privatized space travel. Like, this is cool as hell. Like, yes, I can watch hours of that. I'm the guy that wants to watch how the movie was made and all the work that went into it. I would watch those for 5-6 hours more than the movie.
When I was a kid, if somebody called you a space cadet, it was a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
Now you got to be a billionaire to do it.
Yeah, no kidding, right? You got to join the ranks. And we were talking about that last week, but I'm like, right. All right, so here, let me hit you guys up with these rules. Okay, so these are our 11 rules to succeed as a leader. We'll be putting this out. Donnie, I don't know. We're supposed to have it out next week, but your level of video production lately.
Give the guy a break, honestly.
Thank you, Paul.
We're going to be Team Donnie in about 10 minutes. I know.
Yeah. There he is. There's Donnie. Donnie's like, "Come on, man. Give me a break, guys." Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So, number 1, learn how to brand yourself. The industry is changing. A recent study done by Statistica, and we'll have that out. But I was just talking about this. But the influence marketing industry, 2016 was 1.6 billion. And 2021, we're almost at $16 billion industry. So in 6 short years, They're having massive growth just in the last 24 months. And in fact, their biggest growth happened when? Can you guys guess? When do you think social media influence marketing had its largest growth? John?
2020.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
COVID
2020.
year.
Right? What happened? What happened with Zoom? Right? Less than
Oh my
10
God.
million users in the United States. And in 30 days, you guys, they got up to 300 million. You know how many Americans there are? Like, they have like 95% of the market in the US, and it happened in 30 days. And you know what's crazy? Everybody else crashed and burned in the process of getting themselves to a position to capture the market. And why do you think that is? I mean, nobody grabbed it like these new companies. Why? Because opportunity knocked and they weren't ready. They assumed because times were good that they had it dialed in and nobody was going to take the market. Nobody saw this coming. Everybody's working from home. The entire globe hits this. And Zoom had everything ready. They had the server system ready. They were ready to expand from 10 million to over 300 million users in less than 30 days. That's insane. Can you imagine? Think about that as a business model. Could any of us, I know I couldn't today. There's no way I could go from a 10 million, as an example, $10 million revenue business to a $300 million revenue business by November. No way.
Our accounting department would probably light us on fire.
Yeah. No kidding. When you think about that's incredible. And that actually falls into one of our other rules, rule number 7, which is bad times create innovation. And it's interesting because when we're preparing ourselves, that's where the quote comes from that I have from John Wooden. Netflix, Airbnb, Microsoft, GE, Disney were just some of the examples that we're going to be putting out in the video. But it's interesting, if we look back at just what happened here recently, we can probably think of quite a few companies in our industry. We're all in the renewable energy space, and we've seen massive growth happen from a lot of companies that nobody knew of, and they were ready to go, right? Opportunity knocked. They were already ready, and they stepped up. And when we start to get into a space, whether we were ready or not, we start to think, oh man, the times are bad. This is when innovation happens, right? When we're comfortable is when we stop innovating a lot of times. This is, if
Comfort makes you lazy.
It does. I mean, look at Blockbuster.
To keep on with the sports, with the sports adages, I coach football, right? And in my 6th grade team, our very first game of the year, we blew the other team out. I mean, it was bad. They had a running clock by halftime, and as coaches, we'd already been down that path before, right? But my kids, my players, they thought, we're killing it. We're doing everything right. We're doing all these things right. But deep down inside, us coaches and even some of the parents sitting in the stands knew that at that moment, it was the least we were going to learn all season, right? And so after the game, we do a thing, the little crunch bars, we call it crunch time, right? There's 4 coaches. Okay. Each coach picks a kid. Hey, you did well at practice, or you did great during the game, whatever it is, right? And I always do the bad stuff first, then we talk about the good stuff, right? And one of the bad things I said was, nobody played bad, everybody played great, right? So the only thing I could say was, any other team that showed up today likely would have taken advantage of us because we started getting lazy, and we learned nothing in a win. You learn everything in a loss. When you lose something or when something doesn't go your way, there's a famous Navy SEAL that says good. I'm sure everyone's seen the YouTube video or the clip of it, right? But he's true. It's true. He's right. You learn nothing when you're succeeding, right? Because you're in the moment, and you're high-fiving and everybody's doing good, and hey, get another PO, another invoice, another PO, another invoice, right? You're not focusing on future operation. When you lose, everything goes into command and control. You're like, we got to do this. You start breaking down everything. You say, where, how can I get better here? How can I get better here? Right. And when you're winning, you're like, well, I ain't changing nothing, dude. We're riding this wave. Don't fix it if it's not broken. I hate that. Oh, I hate that. But don't fix it if it's not broken. That's the mindset everybody gets into.
It's just
get into that.
Go ahead, Paul.
They have to realize that, like you say, ride the wave. And one of the things is you've got to tell them that wave at some point will crash. So if you're riding that wave, be prepared for the crash. And a lot of people don't, and that's the issue.
Right. That's right.
Absolutely. This is rule number 6. Follow the 24-hour rule. I learned this actually a couple years ago. Huge change for me. Have you guys ever heard of the 24-hour rule?
Is that the same as the sleep on it and decide tomorrow?
Sleep on it. I'm going to sleep on it.
Send the text right away.
When I grew up in Los Angeles, and it's a family joke. It may not even be funny to you guys, but we'd always hear, maybe mañana, right? And that's like maybe tomorrow, right? Because everybody in LA speaks Spanglish, and
Texas too.
You get guys to come work on something because that's what you did. You went to Home Depot, right? That's where you got you got guys who went to Home Depot, you went to Center Street, went down to the park, picked them up, and had them work, help you out in the house, and be like, hey, what about getting this? Maybe mañana. Anyways, that just made me think of it. 24-hour rule is not sleep on it. Let me tell you what the 24-hour rule is. All right. It's real simple. Celebration. Something good happens. Man, we hit this new goal. We just got a fat invoice. We got a brand new customer. Dude, this is great. You should celebrate. Okay. Enjoy the time and get back to work tomorrow. You have a 24-hour period. You have to embrace these small wins and big wins because that's the whole point of a win. Same thing goes in the loss. Okay. When you look at sports players, and I enjoy sports, but I'm not a big sports person. I would say, like, I can't tell you names anymore. I used to, but I got too many kids to be following other people's professional careers. That's just me. Not good for them, man. I got nothing against it. I'll watch and sit down with the game, but my friends know it. They're like,
I'm a grown man. I'm not wearing another man's jersey.
Yeah, that's, you send me a check. Hey, man, you send me a check. I will, dude, I will do one of these every hour for you. Send me some of that money.
Yeah.
But listen, when we hit those failures, you look at some of the greatest players in any sport of all time. You look at some of the greatest innovators and businesses that have been out there that have innovated. What happens when they lose? They're sitting there watching their competition. They're studying their own steps. They don't go home and soak for weeks and days or think about what they did wrong. Again, this comes in as we get to the new year. Listen, crap goes wrong, man. It does. It happens. This is life. We want to get ourselves to be as prepared as much as possible where it doesn't have to happen as often, where we can become more lucky, like we talked about. But you know what? 24-hour rule is probably the simplest and greatest things to follow because, hey, man, that didn't go well. I didn't rest. I stayed up too late. I was messing around and watched a movie. I didn't get the rest I needed, and I had a sales call, and, it didn't go well. We've all had them. In my office, if anybody has seen it, I have a big painting, a big canvas of a scene from Black Sheep, where Chris Farley and David Spade are sitting. It was his first sales call, and he's sitting there awkwardly going through the sales motion, and the pitch is horrible. And he grabs the car and he's smashing them, and he's acting it out, and he lights it on fire. And the guy screams, "Get out!" My favorite line of that whole piece is he goes, "Hey, do you validate?" Do you validate? But that is one of the most awkward scenes. And anyone who's ever had to pitch their idea, we're all in sales. You don't have to be in sales to not be in sales. If you're a manager, you're in sales because you're you're selling your ideas up, and you're selling the vision down to
Right.
inspire and innovate. If you're a husband, if you're a father, if you're a business owner, if you're a mother, it doesn't matter what, man, you are always trying to bring that out. And we make mistakes, we deal with it, we learn from it. What can I make sure to not do again, and then get back on the horse? So that's the 24-hour rule. That one is rule number 6.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So we said rule number 1 was learn how to brand yourself. Rule number 2, study others to keep motivation. Rule number 3 on our list is stay balanced between the past and future states. You guys ever heard anything like this before?
Can't say I have. Not that one.
Okay, so I have
conceptually, yeah.
Okay, so you got a pendulum, okay, and this is, listen, all this stuff is related to each other, because when you start to think about it, where does most of our stress comes from? Paul, shoot, you know what? Everybody on this call, we're all business owners, right?
Where
We're
does
all
most of my
business
stress come from? I'd say my kids.
Sorry, buddy. You got to put them to work. Come on, haven't you learned
They're
anything?
not old
here?
enough yet. There's child labor laws over here.
Listen. They got to get paid to
Well,
have
they get
labor.
paid.
To have labor laws, right? It's called chores.
We're here for you, Donnie.
Hey, Donnie gets paid.
I appreciate
Donnie's
Blink
on
if you can hear me. Blink if you can hear me.
it.
squeeze my finger.
Donnie, when you get that first pay slip, put it in a frame on the wall, mate.
Donnie,
No, I have been paid before. Don't worry.
before you're on paid.
I get paid. I get paid.
You get paid. All right. You guys are on payroll. Thank you very much.
We get paid.
Not everybody is. I'm going to throw that out there right now. Interns don't get paid here. That's what I tell them, man. You're going to learn. You're going to be a part of something. You're going to put in the work just like anyone else has to, because you're going to learn. You're going to learn in this environment more than a college.
I think that's wrong in America.
What's that, buddy?
The interns don't get anything. I think that
I don't know.
like
I'm sure
slave labor.
I'm sure they get paid other places. They don't get paid here.
We get paid in burritos.
Hey, listen, I do. I feed them gas money. The fridge is stocked. Like, man, they can, right? They have what they need. But listen to this. The problem with so many in society today is this entitlement issue. How many times have we heard right now where technicians, we have such a demand and need for techs. These guys get out and in 6 months, they are master techs and they want a raise.
That's not right. There should be a structure. You come in, you're at base level. Yeah, you might have done one of the major jobs in 6 months, but it doesn't, in my mind, doesn't give you the right to be on the top whack of money. You know, it's got to be, I've heard it said before that, you know, you should be sort of base level, a next level, and then master. And it's the same with anything that I think if you can show your skills and show your experience, then that counts for a lot. But we've spoken about this before.
Yep.
Like if you want to be, you know, you can go from being a dustman to wind turbine blade repair tech in a space of what, 4 weeks.
What's our friend say, John? They were Starbucks barista 2 weeks ago. Now they're a wind tech.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they were spinning up macchiatos.
Now they're a wind tech.
Yeah, and now they got their hand on the reaction bar of a torque equipment.
Yeah, now we're having to remind them to move their pinkies out of the.
Yeah.
Keep all your fingers, please. Once you hit the green button, you don't get a second shot.
Yeah.
Right. Seen that one personally more than once, sadly. No, Paul, I mean, you nailed something. John, I'd love to get your opinion on this, but you know what? I think we're going to kind of veer off topic a bit, but I never want to stop the opportunity for somebody working around me to innovate and to want to basically show me, like, I don't care how experienced you are, what your age is if you can come in and show me that you are going to add value and you know how to negotiate a conversation and negotiate your position, then you should not be impeded for your ability to do so, right? This is the same problem where we as managers, a lot of times, a lot of corporations and setups, you guys, we have all worked with corporate companies. You know what I'm talking about, where we literally create a system that says we will not reward you for being efficient. We will not reward you for it because all we're going to do is keep raising the bar, holding more on you. And we're not going to allow you to learn or have a bad day or have a bad month. We're going to keep everybody at this steady balance because we're not letting people bring efficiency, bring innovation, because we don't. This is unfortunately the corporate setup. Very, very few that I see and know of are built in a way that allows people to grow as fast as they want.
Starts at the top, though, doesn't it? We've spoken about this before. If the man or the woman at the very top is not very innovative, then the rest of the people won't follow. If they want to pen them in, like, you know, if they're not going to turn around and say to them, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally worked at a few different corporations in my time in this industry, and the first organization I worked for was more or less, hey, we're going to basically here's the road, stay on the road, right? Here's your left and right lateral limit, and keep things moving forward. And we're not really going to accept anything that moves backwards. And if you have something that would maybe take us left or take us right in the name of success or in the name of efficiency, not interested, right? We already have the road laid out for you. Someone else thought about it. You just need to execute, right? And that hey, fair enough. That's the business model. That's the way they want to go. I've also worked for an organization that says, as we know, best practices are from A to B, right, in a straight line. But if you see something that can make us better, we're actually going to reward you for that. And we're going to reward that team of people because we know that it's not just one person's idea, right? So, can we call companies out here for good things? Can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I worked for the AES Corporation for a while, and I'll tell you what, man, they have a program in place. What's that? What's that?
What was that, Paul?
Doesn't matter. So I worked for the AES Corporation for a while, and they used to have a program called.
I lost Johnny there.
Oh, there's a massive delay for Paul.
Oh, so gotcha.
Right. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and keep going, Judd.
Yeah, so at AES they had it was called the Apex program, right? So essentially, the Apex program was a continuous improvement program within AES globally, right? So there would be times that folks that worked on the wind side, and then more recently the battery storages and the solar side, and then on the conventional generation side, each of those different plants, they operate essentially to the industry standard, right? But if somebody on the team or a team within the company was doing things different or innovative or more efficient or had some sort of lean some sort of lean element to it, that it would save time and money or make things safer, AES really promoted that. They wanted to hear your story, right? So it started with a white paper, and then that white paper went to a committee, and that committee, subject matter experts essentially in each industry within our company would review that, and then they would pick like the top 2 or 3 the top 2 or 3 white papers in those teams, and then you would basically put together a project. And the idea behind it obviously was to drive continuous improvement and to drive performance enhancement. But how sustainable is it, right? So typically the groups that won these projects, whatever they came up with was spread to the other sites that the company owned, right? And so years back, I was a part of a drone project, right, for inspecting wind turbine blades with drones, right? So up to a certain point, and you guys know this as being industry veterans, blades were really just kind of on the back burner.
They were for
right?
a long time.
It was just a back. Nobody thought about it. Everybody thought about what was inside of the nacelle and then the transformer, right? So BOP stuff, and then what's in the nacelle.
Yeah.
We're not even thinking like, dude, the blade is the fuel. That's the fuel source for this whole thing. Nothing works if the winds aren't being captured properly, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously, so you start getting into it, you start seeing leading edge erosion, you start seeing banana peeling, you start seeing delamination and lightning strikes and all kinds of issues, right? And you're like, oh my God, how long has this been like this? Nobody really knows, right? So I was a part of a team that did some drone inspections and created essentially a blade maintenance program. Like, what's the health of this blade versus this blade? What's the performance between the two, turbines sitting next to each other? What do the power curves look like if we make all the all the repairs to the blade but don't do any leading edge protection? What does that one look like next to a turbine that has leading edge protection, right? So we did this entire study on a site in Texas, and it come to find out there was a lot of other sites that were needing to come up to speed because they were starting to see these deficiencies in their operations. They were starting to see their power curves maybe sliding back in the wrong direction. So that's really that type of culture and allowing people to do those types of things are really, in my opinion, how you keep somebody employed, how you retain top talent, how you not only retain top talent, but how you retain maybe somebody who's not necessarily considered top talent, but they're developing that experience. They're developing that know-how. They're learning. It's almost an apprenticeship type program, right? So yeah, you're being paid there, right? But you're gaining that experience in hopes that person stays around, and when I retire or when someone else leaves or whatever it is, that guy who started off day one, who witnessed all those experiences and is able to implement those best practices, can come up with his new best practices.
Yeah.
He could take that and develop it, into the next level. And I think having that type of culture really allows people to grow and to do things. And you don't necessarily have to be, I'm only going to come up with it if I get paid for it. Well, if you have that mentality, I don't want you on my team. If it's only what's in it for me, the whiffum, what's in it for me, I don't really want to be around you. I want you to just bring these things.
Yeah, no, John, you're there. This is kind of the reason why I make these jokes about the internship for me. Now, understand something. This isn't me with a service organization, right? We are, we're a sales and marketing strategy company. Essentially, we're a media group. That's the best way for people today to see it, because we're on the forefront of innovation, doing things that really isn't being done in our industry.
Right.
It's just not. Influence marketing and sales and this type of strategy, it's just so unfamiliar here. People don't know how to accept it. Right? They don't know how to digest it. We're way ahead. I mean, think about it. How many guys do you know in our industry aren't even using LinkedIn? Right? And if they do have it, they have it, but they don't have a picture of their own face. They don't even have their profile figured out. If I look at it, I don't even know what they do. Right? They don't realize that the future of how we network and market and grow our careers and grow the companies we work with is in influence marketing. It's in social media. It's not going anywhere. It was like when everything changed for renewable energy, right? How many times did renewable try to break into the market and was stomped down? And then finally, as we get to the end of the 90s and into 2000s, early 2000s, it came, and once it finally hit that one pinnacle, you knew it. Everybody knew it. It's never going anywhere. And those of us who got into Win early enough, I got in 2007, 2008. So to the people today, I'm a dinosaur. For guys like, John, you know what I'm talking about. Guys that we've all worked around with, like, I'm still I'm moderate. I'm okay.
Dude, I remember going, when I started in Win, I was right behind you. When I started in Win, I was in Houston. Then I moved out to Palm Springs, right? And I thought, hey, I've been in Wind a few years. I'm an ERCOT legend, right? I've worked in ERCOT. I got to Palm Springs, and I'm not even kidding you. This would have been like 2012.
Palm Springs. You're talking like a Mecca area in the U.S., right? Yeah.
I went out to Palm Springs, and this was like 2012 timeframe. There was guys that had been in Wind for like since the 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even know you existed. Like,
yeah.
The dinosaurs that were in the Pee Wee Herman movie, those turbines and these technicians, these are the dudes that I'm coming in contact with, and I'm like, holy crap, And we're talking about brakes, brake systems. We're talking about yawing. We're talking about the pitch of the blades. They're like, yeah, back in my day, non-SCADA units, they would shoot like a harpoon and get the rope wrapped up in the rotor to get the thing to stop.
I would hear the same stories. They're climbing with like a lap belt. They're climbing.
Everyone had shorts on because it was hot.
Because it was hot. Yeah, they're working in Vans and T-shirts and whatever. Yeah, we've come a long way. That's for sure. It's funny. This leads right into one of our other rules, which is embrace change. Embrace change and understand that change is how we expand. Do you got Paul? Will you take care of him when he comes in and out? So Paul's in Paul. You're in the UK or which one?
Ireland.
You and Dave, where are you? You're in Ireland.
Yeah.
That's right. Dave's in the UK.
Yeah.
All right. That's why I like you better. Love you, Dave. It's the Guinness, man. Sorry, bro. Who doesn't love a good Guinness? But we were just kind of going through this, embracing change, right? And not stop expanding. Let me get into this a little bit here. I got some cool stuff on this one. This is the comment by John Maxwell that I used. This is one that inspired me for this particular rule. John Maxwell's written I think 150 something books. Listen, if you want a book on leadership, any level of leadership, you need to look up John Maxwell. Okay. Been around the game a long time. His books are phenomenal. They speak to different types of people in different situations, but I would recommend it for sure. John Maxwell, he says, change is inevitable. Growth is optional. I love that comment. Change is inevitable. It's coming. Growth is optional. What are we doing right now as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people coming into the industry to make a difference in ourselves to ensure that we are being prepared for opportunity, right? When it knocks. Listen, all of these are all about the synergies within themselves working together. But it's interesting because he made some comments in regards to how leaders were chosen and in what I'm forgetting his name right now, the author, where he basically speaks on the tell me economy and the show me economy. And we're looking at a huge variation, a difference in age and where we are right now with how we're conducting business. But these statements really, I think they really matter. That's why I put them in. And here's what he said. Excuse me. He says, as innovators, creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders, we're bound to a life of change if we see the impact truly. He said when he started leading, the big thing was to cast vision. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? 10, 15 years ago, the leaders, they were the ones who knew how to tell a story, how to cast vision. They were the ones that understood that this is where we're going to go. And I mean, what companies are still stuck on a 5-year plan right now?
You can't do that. Not in this day and age. You have
You
to react
cannot. You
faster and
cannot.
faster and faster.
You are. Oh my God, Paul, are you reading my notes, buddy?
No, I wrote them for you.
No, you didn't. Don't tell people that. I wrote them.
Oh no, sorry,
no,
Donnie
no.
wrote them, didn't he? Donnie wrote
Yeah,
them.
Donnie wrote them. Donnie wrote them. Listen, if anybody's going to write, I usually write the first draft, and so it won't always make sense. And then Erica will clean it up and help it sound. Yeah, it'll sound more like English, like, when she's done with it. But he said when he started as a leader, it was the leaders that were chosen, right? It was the big thing was the cast vision. He said, if I saw more than others saw, well, pretty much then I got the role of being a leader. Today, this has been replaced with before. As a leader, it's now how quickly can you capture it? And that is the truth. Look at what's moving. Okay, think about this. In our lifetime, gentlemen, we have seen massive things happen. In our lifetime, we've seen 2 economic crashes. Do you know that in the entire history, 3? But if we're looking at the dot-com bubble, that was a huge economic crash. We're looking at the recession, the Great Recession that they call it.
2008.
Right, 2008. And then we just saw a COVID massive recession happen in a financial area. 3 financial recessions and crashes. There isn't another generation that has gone through that many in the short period of time. Things are moving faster and quicker together. Do you guys realize that the internet didn't blow up till like 2000? Does it feel like it's always been here? Think about that.
No.
Okay,
I
listen.
think I'm older than you two, and I can remember back further.
Yeah, I can remember. Listen, I graduated. I went to college almost 7 years after graduating high school. I graduated with an engineering degree and didn't own a computer. My minor was in computer science. I didn't own a computer. I didn't need one, right? I didn't get my first smartphone till 2010. 2009, 2010. It was a Droid.
10 for me. And
Yeah,
it wasn't
and
an iPhone.
No, mine was a Droid.
I had a BlackBerry.
You had a BlackBerry. Where are you? In Canada?
BlackBerry. Whatever happened to them?
Oh, they're on my list. They are on my list of companies who failed to innovate. They are on my list because innovation is key, and there are so many folks that don't see it. It's funny because this goes into one of my other rules, KISS. Keep it super simple, not the other variation, but keep it super simple. And I love using Netflix as a great example because let me give you some crazy stuff about Netflix. You guys know how Netflix started? So listen, so for those who don't know, founded in 1997, and they didn't really hit for a few years later, but founded in 1997 because the owner was pissed. I forget the movie. I should have wrote the name of the movie down, but he got late charges for a movie. And he was like, this is a dumb idea. This is dumb. What if I create this idea of a mail-in rental DVD system? You pay one price, you keep it as long as you want, you send it in, we send you another one. Okay. So he creates that in 1997. By the early 2000s, in the dot-com bubble, they almost go bankrupt as they're trying. I don't remember if you guys remember this. I actually do. Blockbuster was still like, we're Blockbuster, and they were coming out with their system, and they were trying to sell their IP to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster refused to buy them. And that was like their last way out. They were about to go bankrupt. I remember this because I was like, man, I really like Netflix. I was in California at the time when this happened. And then I remember Netflix started doing something because they couldn't sell to Blockbuster. So guess what they jumped into? They had this crazy idea was, well, what if we could just start doing shows on demand? We need to innovate. It's a bad time for us. We're failing. What if we take the system that we've mastered, okay? We've mastered it. Let's take this process. Let's go to an on-demand, a digital play system. So now for the same membership, you can watch some shows or movies, and they had some awful crap on there, but they innovated. And guess what happened? Listen to this. 2019, they have created over 70 original films. Netflix is now in the top five in the United States, top 10 in the world, the largest production studios in the world in 6 years. In
That's
the
crazy.
world. Look at the speed. You nailed it, Paul. Things move too fast. 2019, over 70 original films. Listen to this. 124 original films were produced in 2020. In the height of COVID, where everyone else was shutting down, they doubled down. They literally doubled down and ramped up.
But you said 2 words there, and it has sort of relevance with every single business, I believe, and the way things are now, or it should. And them 2 words are on demand. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're
I love it.
a business that's, I don't know, that's part of our business. I mean, but it's on demand is what we're providing. You know, it's like text on demand type of thing. However, every business should take note of them 2 words, and it really is. Everybody wants everything faster. Everybody wants stuff on demand. Everybody wants, so business need to sort of, you know, that should be 2 of their key words: on demand.
On demand.
Like,
Paul, first off, I've told you, you guys, your business model, it's on the forefront. You guys are ahead of the market. They'll get it.
2 days ago, I was looking at Google Jobs, and they're not even doing what we're doing.
I'm telling you, you're ahead of the market. No, you guys are. You're innovating, and you're going in the right direction. People aren't wanting on demand. People are already in on demand.
Exactly.
This is how we operate now. 2-day shipping is normal, right? I get
Amazon.
Yeah,
exactly.
Grubhub and listen, everything I do, if we're gonna go shopping now, I put my order in, I drive up into a little slot, I text them and tell them my number, they bring it out to me. It's for them, it's all it's a touchless service. For me, it's I don't have to get out of the car and bring my kids in the store. Like, it's not about I'm not afraid if you sneeze on me. I just love this because I can literally just get in my car, take my kids with me. The younger ones, I don't have to get out. I don't have to clean them up. I don't have to worry about what they're touching or putting in their mouth. I don't have to go into a store if I don't feel like it. I can literally just drive, pull up to every place. They can stick it in my trunk, put it in my car, and I go home. And guess what? A movie that just came out, I watch it, right? So like the Sopranos movie, right? That just got released. It's streaming with HBO Max. I don't even need cable. I haven't had cable since 2004. You know that? 2004 was the last time I paid for cable television. Everything's on demand. It's just streams. So we think about this and you look at the innovation of a company like Netflix. I want you guys, listen to this stat. Are you ready for this? 2019, Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, Walt Disney, and a handful of other top studios only released 179 movies combined. So you got a company like Netflix that continues to innovate. Donnie, what'd you say that they're about to get into now? And if you guys don't think that this is becoming the next humongous market for this and this side of things, but
so Netflix recently bought out their own gaming studio, like a studio that designs games. They have a couple of mobile games on the Apple App Store as it is, but they bought out a game making studio, and they intend to move into gaming on demand, which is a growing industry. Like the gaming industry in itself is somewhere, I think, in the billions of dollars.
they have World Series now. They actually have their own, like,
it's worth billions of dollars. And
So basically, if Donnie, if you and I want to play a video game against each other or with each other in some other, so essentially Netflix would host And so I would just log in basically and play that game when I want to play it, but I don't have to actually own the physical hardware. I can't.
Something like that, similar, where if I don't want to turn on my Xbox, I could play Xbox games on my phone through like a cloud streaming.
No, he's serious.
I'm not kidding. I play
that-
Xbox games on my phone all the time now.
Like he got this device in here the other day, and it's a controller that locks in over his cell phone, and he doesn't even log in anymore. For even less than what he was paying for his membership, he now has every single Xbox game out there on demand on his iPhone 11 or 12, whatever you have.
Yeah. But and it doesn't even stop there too. Like Netflix, the plan, because they already have this. I'm not sure if you noticed on Netflix, but there's some things you could launch. It looks like a regular show, but there's a little icon on the top, like right corner, that's like a little star, and those are actually interactive Netflix things. They're games. They already have games.
No,
on
I
their
haven't
platform.
checked that out.
You play it in like you'll be watching it like a regular show, but then it'll suddenly pop up a like choice, and it says use your remote to select, and you could determine the outcome of what you're watching.
What?
Yeah, you could do it right now.
So like those old, like the old books.
Yeah,
You guys remember the old books where you would like choose what if you're going to be like evil or good?
Watch Old Yeller again.
that's exactly it. Those they
I don't
have
want that dog to
series-
die.
They have series like that, and what their plan to do is essentially add gaming to their already existing service.
So-
You don't pay any more, and now suddenly you get shows and games. That's their goal, and like real full scale games.
So I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you know that. Thank you, Donnie. See, I'm telling you, man, I count on these guys to keep me informed.
Imagine if you paid the kid.
I do pay him.
I do get paid. I want to
I'm
make
going to
that
be sending Donnie a care package.
Listen, let's make a couple things clear. I pay all my employees.
I am paid, and I get food.
Hey.
Coconut waters, all that.
Let me tell you. Yes, I don't buy
You're not
cheap
getting the
stuff.
whiskey and cigars, though.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's off time. That's off camera. Listen, we're kind of getting close to the hour.
Yeah, it is 2:00.
Yeah, and I want to be good to everybody's time, but no, but this is important. I'm going to run through the rules. I'm going to just run through all of them, and then we're going to get back into this next week. Actually, excuse me, pardon me. We're going to be joined by another special guest, and both of you gentlemen are more than welcome to come back. Kristen Moreland, she's a life coach and nutritionist, and I've known her for quite some time now. She's an incredible entrepreneur, powerhouse of a woman, and she's going to be coming on the show next week to kind of give her take from her spectrum of the market. And I've been asking different leaders in their marketplaces to step in, because you know what? The number one way that we're going to learn how to be better in our industry is to learn from the success of others and how they're impacting. She works directly with leaders, specifically women in roles of their careers where they're having to balance being a mother, a wife, and a career woman, and learning how to be empowered in a way that inspires others around them. So she's an awesome lady. I can't wait to have her on. Mother of 3, her husband's a fireman, and she's built a pretty successful company in Arizona. So watch Bandersnatch. It's an interactive, it's a Black Mirror film.
Yeah, that's one of Netflix's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me run through the list again real quick. Number 1, learn how to brand yourself. If you haven't seen the video I've done on this, do you even brand, bro? Do me a favor, check out our YouTube page. Yeah, listen, right? I count on, they told me, do you even brand, bro? Because at the time that's, I don't know, whatever. All right. If you haven't watched the video, watch it. It's a quick 4 or 5 point video that explains why the importance is and what you can do to help brand yourself. So number 1, learn how to brand yourself. Number 2, study others, read, study. That's how you get your motivation. Find somebody to mentor, study and share. Literally, stop keeping everything to yourself. You're going to build yourself in your career or your business with or that. You don't have to keep everything so secret. That's going to be the number one way you will not find yourself as somebody doing anything in the future. Okay. 75, according to Statistica, that's a hard one for me. Statistica. Okay. There's a 75% increase in 1 year in the top 50 companies globally moving into influence marketing. You will see this market explode. And if you aren't capturing yourself in a social media profile or presence and building your business right here, you will be done in just a few short years. It's where we're going. All right. Number 3, stay balanced between past and future states. This I didn't really get too far in it, and I'll do more in the video, but this is understanding that if we're living too much in the past, that brings on stress. If we're thinking too much about where we're trying to go in the future, where we have no control of yet, it's going to burden us. We have to stay in our present, looking one step in the future, one step in the past to learn, but not looking at our past mistakes. There's nothing we can do there, and we can't plan that far down the road. Things are changing too fast. So it's about being balanced in that. Number 4 was keep it simple, keep it super simple. Number 5, question everything. Sweat the small stuff. We were talking about this, John. Question everything. It's your job as a leader, especially if you're in a startup, you're building a team, bringing a new product to market, you are building a business. Like, man, you got to earn the opportunity to go golf 5 times a week and decide to build your own rocket ship to the moon. You have to earn that. Okay. What was that? Question everything. That was number 5. Number 6, follow the 24-hour rule. We talked about that. Number 7, bad times create innovation. Number 8, where did number 8 go? Embrace change. This is how you expand. Number 9, it takes time, but stay aggressive. You cannot rush time. Now you can get aggressive in learning how to get ahead of it. That's by learning, we get mentorship, asking for help. That comes on. That's the next rule, right? Is ask for help. Seek help. Nobody does it alone. You're never going to do it alone. And the number 11, last rule that we have on here is make mistakes. And I forget which one of you talked about it. You're only learning through your mistakes. And it's not that you want to go make them, but you need to know you're going to. So be prepared for them. Embrace the mistakes you make and say, I'm not going to do this again. I love where just things are happening. You know, we've only done 14 of these shows. I don't know if you guys know just the progression of where already we've gotten. Like, we've only been doing these for the last few months. And I've told the team, I cannot wait for the level of quality, production, and professionalism we're going to be putting out 6 months from today.
Right.
While everybody is kind of sitting around looking like, oh, that's really cool. And then they decide to get on top of this and they finally decide that they're going to get out and start to build up their presence in social media. Guess what? We have exponentially grown past them. And all of our clients with us have just exploded. Because you can't wait. What did we say? What did John Maxwell say? He said, leaders today are the ones that aren't not cast vision, but who understand how to move the fastest, capitalizing in the growth today. You cannot look that far down the future. You have to be balanced. So anyway, those are my 11 rules. We're going to get into it in that video. We'll do more. And we're going to do a series on this. Next week, we're going to be more focused on some of these. And I'm going to bring a little more data, get into some conversations. John, Paul, what do you guys think, man? Listen, I'm so grateful you were here. You guys have any last words before we go? John, I'll let you go first.
I mean, just like those, those rules that you said, every one of those has a place in our professional and our personal lives, and I think the main one for me really is be okay, with making the mistake. If you don't try, you miss every shot you take, concept, right? You're going to make mistakes, and you have to own that and be okay with that. And because we talked about previously in another, in another rule there is that you learn from that mistake and you get better. And I think I saw somebody down there, Reese, basically said that progress, progress as production, and seeking perfection is procrastination, right? So production is your progress, and seeking that perfection is procrastination. So you can't, an overnight success takes several years, right?
Yeah.
5.
You have to work at it. You have to work at these things and continue to work
I
and
love that.
continue to move and continue to push. And you're gonna hit rough patches, and you keep moving through that, and figure out how to navigate your way through those. In the military, they had a thing called a 90-degree offset, right? So you'd be you're looking at a map, you're doing land navigation, and you come up across a mountain or a hill, or I don't know, a big pile of trash that wasn't there on the map, or whatever it is, right? So you count your steps to that. You can't just stop there, right? You have to do a 90-degree offset, right? So you count your steps going one direction, then count your steps going up to clear the obstacle, and now you're back at where you should have been, in your path, right? And you can't just stop because you come across something that wasn't planned or what you didn't prepare for. Your preparation, right, is to have that 90-degree offset in your tool bag, right? So when I need it, hey, if something happens, this is what I'm going to go to right myself to get back on track, right? So mistakes are imminent. It's going to happen. It's how you respond, how you react to those things.
Growth is optional.
Growth is optional.
Growth
That's
is
right.
optional. The mistakes
right.
and change are inevitable. Growth is optional. Awesome. John, thank you. Paul, last words, buddy.
The biggest thing that I deal with probably every day is the contractors I deal with are learning how to brand themselves. Even people that are actually fully employed within companies are now starting to learn how to brand themselves. And like you said earlier, Rigo, those that don't are going to get left behind. Yeah. And it's a case of, it's not a case of, do you want to jump on the bandwagon and brand yourself? It's a case of people are going to be on demand. So you're going to have to.
You're going to have
to. And if people don't listen to that, then they're going to be a dinosaur before they're even the age of a dinosaur.
No, that's awesome. Listen, I'm going to thank you guys very much for being on and sticking up for Donnie. I appreciate that. If you are watching this for the first time, do us a favor. Let us know what you think. Like the video would be great. And we do have our YouTube channel, the MW Partners YouTube channel. We're going to be moving quite a few other video content that we've already done, and we'll be putting it on that channel. We have a way, if you're in the US and you want to be a part of knowing when we drop new information, we're getting some of this stuff, all the work that we're doing, we're putting all this stuff on PDFs that we're going to share with you. The content we're building is for you to be better. And we've got a lot more coming. This is going to be part of a series called Contagious Leadership and Business Building Secrets. So I'm looking forward as we get ready to go into 2022. Can you guys believe? Oh my God. We're fourth quarter, guys. We're getting ready to go into 2022. I'm still having a hard time saying we're in 2021.
Sure, everybody wrote off last year, so that just went by a flash.
I was too busy to know what was going on. Apparently, like, social media was down. I was so busy, I didn't even know Facebook was down. I was so busy last month, I missed an entire month to celebrate Hispanic Culture Month. And I'm like, it's the 1 month our family gets being Hispanic business owners. And I'm like, we completely blew that. Like, we need somebody to, like, remind us, hey, it's your month. You need to get out there.
You got 3 Kings Day coming up, though.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. We'll take a look at that. You got that, Erica? 3 Kings Day. But no, listen, if you want to be a part of our community, we have a great program that all you got to do is just text. You can text live or just let us know that you want to be on everything, but you text it to 316-799-8052. This is not a spam bot. You'll get like a real quick message telling you that it's me. But this goes right here, man. It goes right to my cell phone. And I've got some
You need
got
to
some
get that
likes
working
already.
outside the US.
Yep. For outside the US, unfortunately, we looked into it. They don't offer. Here's what we want you to do. If you're outside the US, go to our YouTube, like and subscribe, and send us a message there. Okay. And when we do that, we will notify and let you know that way. We're building a way of notifying you guys there that we're going live. We'll figure something out. Maybe, hey, listen, if you are an innovator, why don't you come up with a way of us communicating with our folks outside of the US? We'll keep looking into it. But anyways, all you got to do is hashtag lunch, the 316-799-8052. We've got some other cool competitions coming up and some prizes. There was a few of you guys that I promised prizes to. Just to let you know, I ordered them. They're all coming in. And when they finally get here, I will be getting those out to you for participating and being involved in the show. You guys, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll get you some shirts. We'll get you some shirts. John, did you ever get yours from a couple years ago? You got it, right?
I did. Yes, and I was actually going to wear it today. I was actually going to wear it today.
Well, it's a Friday shirt. It is a Friday shirt. You can rock it tomorrow. All right. Drop it on social media for us. Tag us on it. Our MW partners. Yeah, we actually have some new stuff and coming out. Paul, I don't like cheap swag. So normally, no, I'm not kidding, man. The last stuff we had Grunt Style make us our shirts. So those weren't cheap. So, but we're happy to get this stuff out and give it away. But anyways, listen, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Yodeling Pickle. Oh,
he's an ATF fan.
He's an ATF fan.
I forget.
Thank you, Dave. We are not going to talk about the Yodeling Pickle on the business show. But if you guys don't know, we have another show Monday nights called ATF. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
If you like to sit and have a good time, have a cocktail, have a cigar, and talk about other things that I enjoy, you will like the show. So it's the ATF show Monday nights. Anyways, that's a different program. Anyways, thanks you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Listen, till next time. Next Thursday, same time, 1 p.m. We're moving it from Wednesday to Thursday. It seems to work out better for the production team, for us, for Gas, for everybody. So thank you for being here. But until next time, you guys, please take care of yourselves, take care of the others. Make today better than yesterday. Take care of yourself. We will talk to you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week.